Hi, this is my digital story. My digital story is on my educational technology journey. This is me. My name's Kelly Peterson. I'm a PE teacher at Stagg High School. I love my job. I love everything that has to do with it. Technology-wise, I really didn't dive into the educational side of it until I started teaching at Stagg High School. Before then, I surfed the internet, I emailed, I did projects for school, for college, whatever, all the basic things. But I've never really truly incorporated it into my classroom teaching until I started teaching here at Stagg. Before I get into that, I'm going to show you some stuff that I used to do on my own at home. Bloop, bloop, boop. Alright, so I used to take pictures, videos of my family and my friends, put them together just to show them what's going on in our lives and how we're doing and the fun things my kids are interested in and the activities that they do.
You ready? Let's go! Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50%.
Alright, so not only am I a PE teacher and 100% believe in health and wellness, I'm an adventure teacher. I teach the Challenge Education program. I am a huge believer of outdoor education and team building and the impact that it has on groups of people and the life-changing impacts that it has on them. So, boop, there we are at our parade. We rock climb. As you saw on the last page, we kayak and we do team building activities, and then we also have tons of field trips. And I started incorporating technology by doing what's called geocaching. And geocaching is like a treasure hunt using a GPS device. And you track down the coordinates and you go and find the little trinkets that people have hidden all over the world. It's amazing. If you go on to geocache.com, I think it's .com, if you look that up on the internet and you type in your street address, I guarantee you there will be at least one geocache hidden within a mile of your house, if not closer. So, not only I started taking baby steps, right? And we did geocaching. When it comes to health and wellness, we've done pedometers, heart rate monitors, stuff like that. But then we have to, since I teach an elective, we have to promote it. So I took what I do in my family time, in my personal time at home, and I introduced it into our PE program. In order to better myself as an educator, I decided to pursue a master's degree. And being that every time we start a new year and we have our Teachers Institutes, the biggest push and the biggest focus is on technology and how much it's changing our world, and it's changing education and the way kids learn and the way we teach. And the biggest thing is that we're preparing kids for jobs that don't even exist today. So I joined an educational technology cohort at St. Xavier University, and it has been awesome. I've truly learned so much from going from a person where I could find my way around the internet and the computer and some technology, but my kids pretty much can zip past it and teach me how to do it quicker than I can teach myself. So I had to create an educational newsletter for one of my courses, and this is it. And I just want to focus on a couple key points here. And this is, I'm new at doing this. So right here, if you take a look at professional development, we have all this technology. We get iPads, we get Chrome devices, and then they're given to our teachers, but how do you use it? How do you implement it into your course? What apps do you use? What happens if the kids can manipulate the apps better than we can? And then you have the resistance to change teaching methods. I'll tell you one thing, creating this digital story has taken me hours. Okay, let me rephrase that. It's taken me weeks, days, and hours just to figure out how this works, professional development, and how I can incorporate it into my classroom and meet the styles of learning right here, and then how to assess them on it. And by the last slides of this video, I'll show you an example of how I've incorporated it into my classroom and how I've assessed my students using it. But it takes forever sometimes to figure it out, and I could see why people might be turned away by it. Without risk, there is no growth. What I've learned throughout this master's program is it's not just the technology, it's how do you incorporate it into your schools, what type of networking it takes and all the nooks and crannies behind it. And then once you get a network up and going and enough Wi-Fi and the abilities to be able to handle the massive amount of students and teachers utilizing that, what devices do you use? Do you bring your own devices? Do you go in a more one-to-one direction? And then once you have those devices, you have the network that can support those devices, here comes the learning aspect of it. How do you incorporate them into your classrooms? How do you analyze your usage of it? How do you use those devices to meet the individual needs of all your students? On this page of my newsletter, I try to show what is like current now, in a couple years, and like 5 years from now. What people are working on, and open content. Students, they don't even need to remember content in this day and age. All they have to do is, okay, what do I need to know? Blah, 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 type it on the internet, and there it is. Boop, it pops up. Anything you want to know is on the internet, anything. So retaining that information kind of seems like, old school kind of teaching, even though we do need to retain it, because what if there is no technology one day? As far as applying what I've learned so far on my educational technology journey and from my master's class, I am right now The app that I'm using to do this digital story is called Explain Everything. It rocks. It's awesome. I love it. It took me a long time to understand how to incorporate all the movies and videos and play them and annotate and stuff at the same time, but it's totally worth it now that I know how to do it. Oh, P.S. I learned how to do that by looking at many instructional videos on YouTube and on the website itself. And then my next two movies that I'm going to show you are from Coach's Eye, and it's something that we use in our PE department very frequently. It enables you to video a student performing a certain activity or skill, and then you can go back and you can annotate it and talk through it and break down the skill little by little and show every minute point where something might need to be tweaked. Javier is performing what's called a Eskimo roll. We're going to take a look. There we go. An Eskimo roll is just uprighting your kayak once you've turned over. We're going to go ahead and continue and just check out his technique here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in slow motion. Let's see, paddle position wise is what we're looking for right now. Alright, so when you start off, we want to check out the blades first. The blades of the the paddle, have scoops on them. And those scoops should be facing up towards the ceiling. And Javier is getting right into that position right now. And we want the rest of the paddle to be parallel to the side of the kayak, parallel to the surface of the water. So blades are facing up, paddle is parallel to the surface/kayak of surface of the water and kayak. Okay, we're going to clear this out and we're going to continue on now. Slow motion. Javier is now rolling over. And we're going to take a look here. We want his paddle to be in the same position that he started in as soon as he's overturned. And if you take a look, here's a blade here and here's a blade here. And then the paddle, instead of being perpendicular, parallel. I need to get my words straight. Instead of being parallel, it's off kilter a little bit. So that's something that he needs to work on. Okay, now what we want to see next is this. We want to see this blade come up across the hull of the kayak. The hull of the kayak is this area right here, the bottom of the kayak. Okay? Then this blade needs to kind of come around this way. So in the end, we would like to see this nice, instead of being parallel now to the surface of the water, we want to kind of see this perpendicular shape right here. So my hope is that this blade comes up towards the hull and is in a perpendicular angle, 90-degree angle to the hull of the kayak. So let's see what happens.
There you go.
Alright, we're going to go through again. Let's get us there. We will move backwards a little bit here. Alright. So, the paddle comes up. The blade's coming around just like the arrow shows. And then we see that this is where he ends turning his paddle. And in order to be more efficient with the Eskimo roll, he should continue to push that blade a little more forward so that it is perpendicular to the bottom of the kayak. So let's get it in slow motion again. All right. Right here, Javi gets it right into the perfect position as he's on his way up, which it got there. That's what we need to build the momentum to hip snap and come on up. So once again, this is what we wanted right here. We wanted that, I can't find my line. There we go. That perpendicular position to the hull of the kayak. Great. Now we're going to take a look at his technique while he's under the water. Alright, so now we're going to check out what Javier looks like underneath the water. So we'll go through it once again in real time. He makes it look so easy. So we're going to go through this in slow motion. Well, past my face. Alright. Let's back it up here. Okay. So once again, Javi is going to start out with his paddle by his side. We're not going to analyze the surface right now. So we see his paddle. Get ready. Let's see. There it is. Alright, so we wanted those 2 scoops over there, and we wanted to be parallel to the side of the kayak, parallel to the surface. So that looks good. Great so far. Let's continue. Alright, check it out as he's coming around. There we are. Boom. And we can't see the other blade. But we do see, check it out, how it's nice and parallel to the side of his kayak, which is awesome so far. Looks really good underwater. Okay, so now let's talk about what's supposed to happen next. Now, Javi is supposed to keep that paddle parallel to the side of the kayak and push the paddle up and out of the water. And we would potentially, as I said in the last video, we want the paddle or the blade there, and then we would like it to be out of the water and parallel, once again, to the side of the kayak, parallel to the surface of the water. So he is going to need to push his body this way, head towards the bow of the kayak, which is the front, and then as he's leaning forward, following that curved arrow, he should be pushing that paddle, breaking the surface of the water out of the water, so he can rotate it. Let's see. We'll go a little slower. He pushes up. Notice how his body's going towards the bow of the kayak, the surface of the water, which is great. And now he's going to start that rotation with the paddle that we talked about in the last video. So let's see. It started out with the blade right here. And then we wanted that blade to go up in that direction, and that's where it's going. And then we wanted this blade to come down in this direction. Just like that. Let's see. Oh, right there. So perfect. Alright. He's already starting his hip snap. As you can see, the kayak is pretty much right-siding itself up. But there's a blade there. You can't see it, but there's a blade down there. And check it out. The paddle itself ends up being perpendicular to the surface of the water, but let's move it back a little bit and see. Oh, that's forward. Turning around. And he's already pushing up and coming up. So, but you see, eventually his paddle gets into the position that we want. Boom, right there. Looks excellent. And then he comes on up. Great job, Javi. Just a couple things we need to tweak to make it even more efficient. Awesome job.